Hi, I'm Akshat Malhotra and welcome to the series on the fundamentals of personal finance. This is not just a standalone video but an entire course. And so if you'd like to make the most of this chapter, make sure you watch the previous ones.
Assets and liabilities. In this chapter, we're going to study about assets and liabilities. But if you're from a commerce background, well, you already, I'm sure, have heard of these terms. But if you're not, don't worry. We're not going to teach you here to, match the assets to the liabilities or creating a balance sheet. No, none of that sort. But what we are rather going to talk about here is how do assets and liabilities play a very, very crucial and a very important role in our personal lives. What are assets to us? What are liabilities to us? And let's understand that. Anything that I own is an asset. This laptop is an asset. My mobile phone is an asset. The house that I live in is an asset. The car that I drive is an asset. So anything that I own is an asset. On the other hand, anything that I owe is a liability. The credit card bill that I need to pay, the loan that I had taken that I need to repay, or in the morning when I'd gone to the kirana store in my society, I'd got some eggs and bread and told bhaiya paise sham ko deta hu. That too is a liability. And similarly, any sort of money that you've borrowed from your friends, family, something where we need to return the money is a liability. So anything that we own is an asset. Anything that we owe is a liability. But you know what? Both assets and liabilities are also of two types. So let's go deeper into understanding the types of assets. And there are two types of assets, namely an appreciating asset and a depreciating asset. So anything that grows in value becomes an appreciating asset. On the other hand, anything that decreases in value becomes a depreciating asset. Examples: mobile phone, laptop. Let's say I buy a laptop of 70,000 rupees today. 5 years later, when I go sell that laptop, I'm going to get 25,000. So the value depreciates and therefore it becomes a depreciating asset. On the other hand, let's say I purchase a home today or a gold coin today or invest my money into XYZ stocks, and hopefully the value of all of these instruments grow over the period of time. So they become appreciating assets, right? So anything that grows in value becomes an appreciating asset. Anything that goes down in value becomes a depreciating asset. Moving forward, liabilities are also of two types: a good liability and a bad liability. What does that mean? So any liability that I take in order to buy a depreciating asset becomes a bad liability. On the other hand, any liability that I take in order to buy an appreciating asset becomes a good liability. Let's quickly take some examples. For good liability first, let's say I'm buying a home and I take a home loan. The underlying assumption is that the price of my home is going to grow in time, right? And so if I take a liability today in order to purchase that home, I'm taking a loan to buy an appreciating asset. So it is somewhere a good liability. You could call this a good liability. However, a bad liability is what we need to be careful of. So for all of us who who randomly shop on these amazing websites, and at the end, at the checkout, we see that convert this into a 6-month, 10-month EMI with just 10% interest, so on and so forth. Why are those bad liabilities? Before that, let me explain the definition. So any liability that we take in order to buy a depreciating asset is a bad liability. And why is that so? I'll take a super simple example. Let's say we bought a car on a car loan. So today, the value of that car, for example, is 5 lakh rupees. I took a loan to buy that car. Now, by the time I pay the loan of that car in the next 3 years or 5 years, the value of that car is going to go down from 5 lakhs to 3 lakhs. Example. However, since I'm continuously paying EMIs along with the interest, I pay a total of 7 lakh rupees. So I am paying 7 lakh rupees for something that has gone down in value 3 lakh rupees. I'm paying 7 lakh rupees for something which is 3 lakh rupees in value, and therefore that becomes a bad liability. And so, in conclusion, in a nutshell, what we're trying to explain you here is that we must all have as many appreciating assets as we can so that our wealth appreciates in the future, our wealth grows in the future. Have as little depreciating asset as possible. Just have the ones that you really need. You need a mobile phone to make calls. That's it, right? And at the same time, we must have as less bad liabilities as possible, which means even if you got to take some depreciating assets, it's better to save for them and then purchase them rather than taking them on a loan, right? And finally, I did take an example of taking a home loan to purchase a home, and that is a good liability because, as I said, the underlying assumption is the price of home is going to increase in future. But in no manner do I mean to say that you must take a loan to invest your money. We're trying to explain you the rationale behind these terms so that gives you an understanding, a mindset as to having an asset first approach, having more appreciating assets and less bad liabilities. Well, let's move on to the next chapter to study more on the concept of cash flow against these assets and liabilities. See you.
I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more such videos.